Before my life fell apart, it looked exactly like the life everyone dreams of. I am 80 years old now. At this age, time no longer moves the way it used to. It does not run forward in a straight line like it did when I was younger. Instead, it circles around and around. It returns to places I thought I had left behind forever. It knocks on doors I thought had been sealed shut, locked tight, and forgotten. Some mornings, I wake up and my body reminds me immediately that I am old. My knees ache and complain before I even stand up from the bed. My hands sometimes tremble and shake when I try to hold a simple cup of tea. The steam rises up and I have to grip the handle carefully so I don't spill it all over myself. But my mind is still full. Too full, actually. It's full of voices I haven't heard in decades. Full of faces that belong to people who are long gone now. Full of moments that refuse to stay buried no matter how hard I try to forget them. People who meet me now, at this stage of my life, think my entire existence has always been calm. Orderly, successful, peaceful, even. They see a comfortable home with nice furniture and clean carpets. They see photographs of children and grandchildren hanging on the walls in neat frames. They see shelves filled with books that carry my name printed on their spines. Books I wrote. Books that sold well. Books that made people think I had always been confident and strong. They look at all of this and they assume my story has always been this way. They assume I was born into comfort and stayed there my whole life. They are completely wrong. I have lived more than one life. More than two, actually, if I'm being honest with myself. This life, what I am living right now, is the last one. The final chapter. The quiet ending after all the noise. But before this, there was another woman. A younger woman. A woman I barely recognize when I look back at her now. She was a woman who believed that goodness was a shield that could protect her from harm. A woman who thought patience could fix absolutely anything if she just waited long enough. A woman who believed that if she stayed quiet enough, still enough, small enough, the storm would eventually pass over her and leave her untouched. It didn't. The storm came anyway, and it destroyed almost everything. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning. The real beginning. I was born in New York, in a modest but warm house, on a quiet street where everyone knew everyone else's name. My parents had waited many years for a child. Many long years of silence in a house that felt too big for just two people. Many years of prayers whispered into the dark, hoping that God was listening somewhere up there. When I finally arrived, I arrived like a miracle. At least, that's what they always told me. I was their only child. Not because they didn't want more children. They did. They would have loved a house full of noise and laughter and chaos. But fate didn't give them more. Biology didn't cooperate. So I was it. Their one shot at parenthood. My mother used to say, God gave us only you so we would never be distracted from loving you properly. She would say this while brushing my hair or tucking me into bed at night. And they did love me properly. They loved me with everything they had. My father was a quiet man. He worked long hours at a job he never complained about, even though I could see the exhaustion in his face when he came home. He arrived every evening with tired eyes and careful smiles. He believed words should be used sparingly, like they were expensive and you had to save them for important moments. He also believed promises should be kept religiously, no matter what it cost you. My mother was warmth itself. She filled the house with the smell of food cooking, roasted chicken, fresh bread, vegetables simmering on the stove. She filled it with the sound of humming as she worked, moving from room to room like a gentle breeze. She had the soft authority of a woman who knew exactly who she was and didn't need anyone's permission to be that person. They never made me feel small. Never made me feel like I was a burden or a mistake or something they had to tolerate. In our house, I was not just a child taking up space. I was a treasure. I was the center of their universe. I grew up in a world where doors were held open for me, where my opinions were actually listened to, even when I was very young, where my fears were taken seriously instead of dismissed or laughed at. Looking back now, after everything that happened later, I realized something painful. Something that makes my chest ache even now. They loved me in a way the world never would. They prepared me for a life that didn't exist outside our front door. School came easily to me. Not because I was born a genius or naturally gifted in every subject, but because I was raised to believe that effort mattered more than talent. That hard work could overcome almost any obstacle. I studied hard. I stayed up late with my textbooks spread across the kitchen table while my mother brought me tea and cookies. I asked questions when I didn't understand something. I rewrote my essays until they were as good as I could make them. I did all of this not because I feared failure, but because I wanted to make my parents proud. I wanted to see that look in their eyes, the one that said I was doing well, that I was becoming someone good. Those years were full of quiet joys that I didn't appreciate enough at the time. Late night studying sessions where everything finally clicked into place. Laughter in dorm rooms with girls who became my friends. Dreams spoken out loud recklessly, as if the future were a friend who would never betray us or let us down. We talked about careers and travel and independence like these things were guaranteed. Like the world owed them to us just for showing up. When I graduated from college, I was hungry for life. Hungry for experiences and opportunities and all the things I had read about in books. New York had always been home, but I wanted to see more. Be more. Do more. I wanted to belong to myself before I belonged to anyone else. I wanted to know what it felt like to make every single decision on my own, without asking permission or seeking approval. That was how Chicago happened. I still remember standing at the train station with my single suitcase. It wasn't much, just clothes and a few books and some photographs of my parents. My mother was crying quietly into a white handkerchief, dabbing at her eyes and trying to smile at the same time. My father was pretending not to cry, but I could see his jaw working, his throat moving as he swallowed hard. "Write to us," my mother said, gripping my hands. "I will call every week," I promised. Every single week without fail. I meant it. And for a long time, I kept that promise. In Chicago, I found a small apartment on the third floor of an old building. It had creaky floors and windows that didn't quite close all the way, but it was mine. All mine. I also found a small job. Nothing glamorous or impressive. I worked as an office secretary in a medium-sized company that sold industrial supplies. The pay was not impressive, but it was honest work. Fair work. It paid my rent on time. It paid my bills. It paid for groceries and the occasional movie ticket. But more importantly, it paid for something far more valuable. My independence. For the first time in my entire life, Every single decision was mine and mine alone. If I wanted to eat cereal for dinner instead of cooking a proper meal, I did. If I wanted to walk for hours after work, wandering through neighborhoods I didn't know, I did. If I wanted to sit in complete silence in my apartment and do absolutely nothing, I did that too. Nobody questioned me. Nobody judged me. Nobody told me I was doing it wrong. I made friends quickly. Real friends. The kind who came over with cheap wine in paper bags and loud opinions about everything. The kind who talked about men and careers and dreams as if we had all the time in the world to figure everything out. Sometimes we did have time. Sometimes we didn't. But we didn't know that yet. I dated a little during those Chicago years. Nothing serious. Nothing that stayed or left a mark. I was not afraid of commitment. I want to be clear about that. I just wasn't ready to trade my freedom for it. Not yet. Not when I was finally tasting what it felt like to be completely on my own. I told myself I would wait. I told myself I would build something. First, a career, maybe, or a stronger sense of who I was. I told myself I had plenty of time to settle down later. And for a while, life seemed to agree with me. The months passed. Then a year. Then 2 years. I was happy. Genuinely happy. Then came Thanksgiving of my 3rd year in Chicago. I always went back to New York for Thanksgiving. It was absolutely non-negotiable in our family. A sacred tradition that couldn't be broken. My mother started cooking days before the actual holiday. The entire house smelled like heaven. Turkey roasting, pies baking, vegetables being chopped and seasoned. My father cleaned the house like a military inspection was coming, vacuuming corners that nobody would ever see. That particular Thanksgiving, after dinner was finished and the dishes were washed and put away, after the house had settled into that familiar, comfortable quiet that happens when everyone is full and satisfied, my parents sat down across from me at the kitchen table. Something in their faces made me nervous. "We're not getting any younger," my mother said gently, folding her hands on the table. My father nodded slowly. "We just want to be sure you'll be okay. That you'll be taken care of." "I am okay," I said, confused. "I'm doing fine in Chicago. I have a good job and good friends and..." "You are doing fine," my mother interrupted gently. "But being okay alone is different from being okay with someone. Do you understand what I mean?" I did. And I didn't. That was the night they told me about him properly. Really told me, with details and plans and expectations. A banker. Responsible. Quiet. Serious about his career. From a good family they had known for many years through church and community events. A man who, in their carefully chosen words, had good character and a stable future ahead of him. They didn't demand anything. They didn't order me to come home and get married. They were too respectful for that. But they planted a seed. And they watered it with worry and love and the fear that comes from watching your only child live far away. I listened to everything they said. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice or storm out of the room. But inside me, something resisted. Something pushed back hard. I went back to Chicago feeling unsettled in a way I couldn't quite name. I tried to return to my normal routines. Work in the morning, coffee with friends in the evening, weekend walks through the city. But the idea they had planted kept growing whether I wanted it or not. And ideas, once planted in your mind, are incredibly stubborn things. The next year, when I came home for Thanksgiving again, He and his entire family were invited to dinner. I should have seen it coming. I should have known my parents wouldn't let this go. That day, my mother cooked like she was preparing for a wedding or a festival. The house smelled of spices and roasted meat and old family recipes. I remember standing in front of the bathroom mirror longer than usual, staring at my own face, telling myself it was silly to be nervous about meeting someone. When they arrived, they were exactly as my parents had described. Polite, well-mannered, respectable, the kind of people who said please and thank you and never raised their voices. And he was calm. Too calm, actually. The kind of man who spoke only when necessary and listened more than he talked. The kind who nodded thoughtfully when you said something and seemed to be measuring every word before it left his mouth. We sat in the living room and talked about safe topics. Work, the city, the weather. Nothing important or meaningful or personal. He didn't offend me. He didn't say anything rude or ignorant. But he didn't move me either. He didn't make my heart beat faster or my stomach flutter. He didn't make me laugh or think or feel particularly anything. He was just there. Still, after that day, we began talking. First on the phone, awkward conversations where long silences stretched between us. Then, when I visited New York, we would meet for coffee or dinner. Always in public places. Always appropriate and proper. He never pressured me. Never raised his voice. Never did anything I could point to and call wrong or inappropriate. That should have been my first warning sign. A man who reveals nothing about himself is a man who has many things to hide. But I didn't see that then. I was young and trusting and still believed that silence meant peace. My friends in Chicago were divided when I told them about him. Take your time, some said. Don't let anyone rush you into anything. You barely know him, others pointed out. How can you make this kind of decision? And one friend, the most practical one, said, look, stability isn't romance and it isn't passion. But it's not a bad thing either. Sometimes it's actually the most important thing. I held on to that last comment like it was a life raft. I told myself my parents meant well. I told myself they had lived longer than me, seen more of the world, understood things I didn't yet understand. I told myself that love could grow over time, that it didn't always have to start with fireworks and butterflies. And slowly, conversation by conversation, visit by visit, I started to believe it. The final decision came quietly one evening. I was sitting on my narrow bed in my Chicago apartment, looking around at the small life I had built for myself. The books on the shelf, the coffee mug on the nightstand, the jacket hanging on the back of the door. And I realized something painful. If I stayed in Chicago, I would always be choosing myself. My independence, my freedom, my own path. If I left and went back to New York, I would be choosing everyone else. My parents' peace of mind. Their vision for my future. Their need to see me settled and safe. I sat there for a long time, weighing these two futures against each other. Then I picked up the phone and called my mother. I'll try, I said simply. I'll give this a chance. She cried. Happy tears, relieved tears. I resigned from my job 2 months later. My coworkers threw me a small party with cake and cheap champagne. My friends helped me pack up my apartment, even though several of them thought I was making a mistake. The wedding happened 3 months after that. It was simple, respectable, quiet, exactly what both families wanted. No great romance. No passionate declarations of love. Just promises made in front of witnesses. When I moved into his house, it was his house, not ours. Though nobody said that out loud, I told myself this was just another beginning. Another chapter in my life story. The first year passed slowly. Then the second year. Then the third. We lived together like polite roommates. He went to work. I kept the house. We had dinner together. We attended family events and church services. But no child came. Month after month. Year after year. Nothing happened. The doctors ran tests. They used words like unexplained infertility and no obvious cause. They suggested treatments and procedures that cost money we didn't have much of. He started drinking during this time. Just a little at first. Then more. Then more than that. He started staying out late after work. Coming home with alcohol on his breath and coldness in his eyes. He started changing. The quiet, calm man I had married was disappearing, replaced by someone angry and resentful and cruel. I learned silence during those years. I learned how to make myself small. How to avoid triggering his temper. How to apologize for things that weren't my fault. I went through IVF treatments alone. He refused to come to the appointments. He said it was a woman's problem, a woman's responsibility. The IVF failed. All of it failed. Then, after years of silence and emptiness and grief, adoption came into the picture. When the children finally arrived, 2 beautiful children who needed a home, the house felt alive again for the first time in years. It felt like it had a purpose. And that was exactly when he began to truly hate me. But that is a story for another chapter. That is the dark middle of this story, and we're not there yet. Because this chapter is about something simpler and sadder. It is about how I once believed that beginnings were always kind. That if you were good and patient and tried hard enough, life would reward you with happiness. It is about the girl I was before the world taught me otherwise. In the next chapter, I will tell you how the life I chose slowly erased me,